Paris, and we are live on Intellectual News Radio. You're listening to Straight Up the Middle with me, co-host Clint in Paris, the good attorney. And
hey, good morning, good morning, great morning.
Professor Tony Seabrook, one of our leading educators in our community. And we have to always be thankful to our educators for what they do to enlighten us so that we can do the things we do in our community. So, good morning, Professor. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing great.
I know you're doing great, man. After this week, I thought, it was a week filled with a lot of tension and things in the air with the upcoming hearings and things of that nature. So I'm glad I'm sure you're glad to see that over. So I'm sure you want to talk about that a little bit. And the way that it came out.
Oh, it's me.
The way that it came out as well. Let's open up. And it's an important, and one of the things I'm always shocked because I've got an office, staff in my office, and I'll be bubbling hot on a topic, and I'll run out and grab somebody in the hallway, and they look at me like, what are you talking about? You not know what I'm talking about, but it's good to get in here in the morning. We know we have some of the best listeners and our best callers. So this is a show open to the public. So if you're listening, you want you to jot this down real quick. The call-in number is 813-444-9588. Write that number down now so that when you do have an idea, something you want to share and contribute, you want to correct us, whatever it may be, you've got the number handy. You can give us a call. Also, if you ever want to know what do the folks look like in studio, go to In Touch News Facebook page. We're on live, and it should just pop up. I'm not a Facebook expert, but I'm sure there's a teenager in the house somewhere who can tell you how to get us on. And you can watch the show, but it is a participation show, and we focus mostly, Professor, I know, on national politics and issues of interest to our community. So that they're enlightened and informed. So we got a number of topics this morning that are out there that we can talk about. But I just think it would be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to go around the track a couple times and talk about the Mueller hearings.
Before I do that, I was up in Orlando last week when me and DJ CEO left. We both had funerals to attend.
Okay.
So I was in Orlando, and bittersweet. There was the mother of a good friend, and then the sweet part of it was I got a chance to go by my old barber.
Okay.
And it actually feeds into what we're going to talk about because my barber, before I met him, had made a mistake in life, served his time.
Okay.
And got out. When I met him, I was cutting hair, and he'd gone from shop to shop, and then he decided he was going to open up his own shop. Now, he had things stacked against him, but I never knew this guy to complain.
Okay.
Wasn't a per se Christian at the time. But, he acknowledged high power, those type things. What I want to say here is that when I saw him, and this is 15 years later, now I've seen him in between times, but he's in his barbershop. He's in Winter Park, which is a very good side of town in Orlando to be on, especially with the barbershop.
Right.
He's doing well. He's employing other barbers, young guys, and he has a standard for them. And that's one thing I always knew about him. He has a standard. He doesn't like someone to come in and slouch on the job. He hates that. His son, MMA fighter. Ranked number one for the last few years. But what I saw in that was, this is where, with all the flaws, our American justice system, American jurisprudence, this actually worked. There was a case, there was an investigation, there was a sentence, carried out, productive member in society. So now let's roll into what happened here with the Mueller hearing. What I saw was the justice system versus American jurisprudence.
Okay.
What was ironic about that, and what I think our listeners need to take hold of, and what I saw was this. I think the layperson could relate to the position that Donald Trump is in. Now, we know there are a lot of self-inflicted wounds there. That's not what I'm talking about. But as it stands, he had a number of charges against him. And what I learned, despite how Democrats want to say, well, people don't read the I didn't read the whole 400-page report either, like most of them did. But I downloaded the day it was made public. I downloaded that, and I downloaded...
you mean the Mueller report?
The Mueller report. I downloaded it. And I have it here because you're the in-house legal expert. And just in case you want to look at volume 2.
I'm the in-house co-host. The in-house legal expert gets paid.
Okay, but again, what I learned was it is a sham because I didn't
What
learn
is a sham? Go ahead.
the American justice system, how
Is a sham?
no, how the Democrats are portraying it, are leveraging it, are using it, because what I didn't learn was nothing new. I didn't learn anything
You
new
mean
about the 10 counts.
in the report?
In the report, there was nothing new, and there was nothing new that any fifth grader
Right.
didn't know before the Mueller hearing. Here's what I didn't know. I didn't know that there was no such thing, no legal term as exoneration. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was no legal term of obstruction.
Or collusion.
Right. So here's
no
my
such
point.
legal term as that either.
So as I sat there and watched Senator Ratcliffe dig into Mueller, I go, wait a minute. And first of all, stop me. You guys talk in the coolest language. I love the legal jargon. I love it. But he says, wait a minute, you weren't even supposed to write any of this. You were supposed to render, according to your mandate, decisions reached. I didn't know that that was violating every tenet of American justice system when you give more information about charges you're not even going to file. Because you hadn't come to a decision. You didn't decline them, nor did you prosecute. You just gave 180 pages for your friend's purposes. That's really what it came down to. So here's the other part, because I know you read. I mean, I see you really twitching your fingers and everything. Here's the other thing. He didn't even know. I felt bad because at that point, and this is original. This is not, Fox News is different. This is not anything. I told my wife, I said, he is the Bobby Bowden of federal prosecutors, special. Because Bobby Bowden had to call a play like 10 years before he left. He was just a figurehead. Everybody knew that. Bobby Bowden wasn't calling plays on the sideline. He was just running up and down, man, y'all better win this game so my legacy can be intact. That's all Bobby Bowden was on.
Okay.
So you got Mueller, who clearly, and I just thought it was his personality, his demeanor. But when he was leaning away from the mic, I noticed how he was asking the attorney he brought. He was like, bruh, what page are they on? Speaking to the mic, yeah, I know. What page are they on? It's like, oh my God, this dude has no clue what's in that 480-page report. So I'm going to stop there because I know you want to jump in because we need to get this thing going. I hope some people on Facebook want to jump in.
Now, can you hear me? Okay, a couple of things. That if anybody went back and looked at some prior testimony of Mueller,
Mm-hmm.
you would have expected he's not really for TV. If you went and looked at any prior testimony, that's one component of this. But let's look at the structure. What was this thing that he had to come and talk about?
Mm-hmm.
That was his investigation of the Russian meddling in the election. That's where we start. That's the overarching umbrella that he starts with, which is not in dispute. I don't think that's in dispute, is it? Unless we talk to Mitch McConnell, who won't pass any legislation, or Donald Trump. But the overarching premise behind why this investigation starts is that to look into the Russia investigation. It is removed to a special counsel because within the Justice Department at the time, the Attorney General had a conflict of interest because he had been too close to some of the potential witnesses. Jeff Sessions.
Okay.
He had been too close to some of the witnesses and some of the events, so he needed someone a little more remote. But remember, Mueller is part of the Justice Department. He's working under the Attorney General, and therefore he's part of the Trump administration. Let's start with that premise, because that's where it really is.
Okay, wait a minute. Who was the special prosecutor?
Special prosecutor was appointed by the Attorney General, who works for the president.
Mm-hmm.
So Mueller is actually part of the Trump administration.
Only by design, not because he is a part. Only because that's a legal process and that pulls him in. Only by design.
No, they put him in. They put him in. He wasn't in.
Put him in. Right.
They went and selected him, and you go and you play in this role.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's step one. And the dynamic of I wrote this down. Russia investigation. That's what this is. it becomes about Trump because of the continuous nexuses between Trump operatives, his son meeting with the Russians,
Right.
him calling on WikiLeaks, things of that nature to give the impression that there may be some connection. Therefore, the Russia investigation by Trump's own actions and people's action draws any legitimate person to say we need to look into this. We absolutely needed this investigation. Whether it found clarity or not, I don't think it would have been appropriate for America to not have had this investigation. And now, how the person does it, we can now attack Mueller and how he did it and his ability to do it and all that kind of stuff. I'm getting somewhere. I know you're getting. I'm getting somewhere. It then moves into obstruction because along the way, Trump starts, reaching out and sticking his fingers out and acting out as Trump would, doing Trump-esque things.
Trump-esque.
Things that are just unusual, that kind of makes people, quirky. If I was in court and every now and again I had a juror that jumped up and started singing, I want to know what that's not usual. And so we'd have to investigate that.
Right.
Now, I was with you. I have very grave concerns about the investigation and some of the things it did.
Well, let me stop you there. But you knew about it. We all knew the investigation was going on. And I remember repeated conversations, and we talked about the severed head. We use that as an example. The severed head in the closet. But that's not where you're supposed to go. Now, you're investigating this. You're going to the house, and you're investigating, then you find the severed head. We knew about all of this, right?
That's called I call it the Monica Lewinsky effect.
Okay,
I call it that. They're investigating Whitewater, and somebody said, we got this dress in the closet over here. You might want to do some DNA test on that. So this is nothing new. This didn't just start today. This has been going on for a while. We have a break-in down the hall. You might want to go out to California and talk to somebody about why that break-in happened. That's Richard Nixon. So I'm okay with that. The way this thing kind of moves around a little bit. Okay, so let me stay for a minute because I'm trying to get somewhere.
Okay.
And I have asked some of my loyal listeners to back me up on this and send me some information as we go along. So I thank you all for your tweets and texts you're hitting me with. So it was Rosenstein who appointed him, and Rosenstein, I think, there's some clouds that float around behind him. These are my notes.
That he was a carryover from Obama.
Yeah,
One of those clouds.
Yeah, it was a cloud.
Okay.
I'm aware of not that he was a carryover, that he was appointed, because we should not presume that. And I'm just disappointed when I think in these terms. I don't think about the last thing I want to know is necessarily who appointed a judge. I want to know that a judge or a prosecutor is objective. They really should be, and we if they're not, then the whole system is biased and it all tilts one way. But let me get somewhere real quick on this Russian investigation, because I thought he did not, Mueller did not nail down some of the things. For example, there's no reason that an investigation should never be wrapped up because you're in a hurry. It should be wrapped up because you're finished. And I couldn't imagine the Republican investigation of Benghazi concluding without Hillary actually testifying or meeting with the people doing the investigation. Those are two things that really, really disappoint me. Now about Mueller and his performance. He had to come testify. Because if this thing moves to impeachment, am I hearing music in the background? Okay. I thought maybe you were trying to give me a signal without a hand signal, Esteban. So Esteban is our engineer. He's working the boards over there, and he sometimes will ambush me at music. So I got to keep my eye on him while I got one eye on the engineer, one eye on the professor. But we would not have tolerated concluding that investigation without having Hillary come in and testify, and the Democrats cannot do there because these are two different investigations. So the Mueller report is the Justice Department is investigation of itself. It's really what that is. That's not the same as Congress. That is not the same as Congress. Congress has a duty to do its own investigation because at the end of a Justice Department investigation, what you get are criminal penalties. You can't use that for the sake of taking actions such as a political act, such as impeachment. And that's why they had to have Mueller, good or bad, come and put his testimony on the
This is a good time to break because he just set it up too. He just teed it up. So we're going to go to break. In Touch Radio, Reality Radio, where everyone's a star. 813-444-9588.
Jr., your motivational guru. This is the DLD Motivational Moment. You got up this morning. Well, you got up this morning. Eyes sneaking open as the feet hit the floor. Got to thank God for the rise this day. The stove perking the smell of nutrition. Get to your destination with planned unselfish acts. Bulletin board read, do you have any to spare? Happiness and understanding. We all have experienced that one phone call, family member, co-worker, friend has passed on. We don't know our last evening or morning. Get up. Help someone out. Now walk it out. You got up this morning. This has been the DLD Motivational Moment. You can reach out to DLD at DLD282002@yahoo.com or 813-394-5875.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
We back? All right, we're back.
Comes to reality radio.
I thought we were. We are back now. If you're on Facebook, I'm actually trying to ensure I see any questions coming through. Love to get your feedback on this. So the good attorney set it up and explained to us the importance of Mueller coming in to testify, and I agree with all of that. It still doesn't answer the question. We, excuse me, we know from his, what the appointment letter said he should be doing. And I had those, and I have it here because I'm such the guy. I don't want anyone to think I'm taking someone else's word. So I like to make sure I download documents and those type things for my own reading. So he's appointed to A, look in any links and or coordination between Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump. B, any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation, and any other matters, this is C, any other matters within the scope of 28, whatever this CFR 600 is. So we knew what he was charged with. What your statement of Mueller not being for primetime TV or him just not being for TV, we get that. But the Democrats also knew that. They were hoping, because they had everyone said this when they yielded back their time. No one is above the law. I yield back my time. The next one, no one is above the law. I yield back my time. They did that. Almost every representative did that when they yielded back their time, because they were there to do something that they practice, and they may have known that Mueller would be kind of reticent to answer certain questions. But they were building that. But once the Republicans, and again, this is what I learned. Nothing from the Democrats that I learned. I knew what they were doing. I didn't know how the Republicans would approach it. But once I learned that really that's extra prosecutory information that shouldn't have been in there because you didn't make a decision, nor did you prosecute, nor did you decline. It was clear what he had done. It was clear that those 12 Democrat attorneys wrote that report, did the investigation, and they placed him as the figurehead to take the fall. But they didn't know he'd take a fall. They thought he'd be at least clever enough, seasoned enough to go with the flow.
Which planet you getting this from? Like,
No.
You got these 12 guys beat down at the bar,
These 12
hatching a plan against Mueller?
No, not against Mueller. They put him there, but the fact that he couldn't answer his own questions, the fact that he had, and he didn't even want to read it. He's like, "Oh, well, I'll have you read it for me." Okay. So the fact that he didn't want to have any parts of his own 480-page report.
That's not what it was.
That's not what it was?
What it was is what he said when he months ago when he came out and said is, look, I was minding my own business. I was enjoying life. The DOJ contacted me and said, look, your country needs you again. I know we needed you for Vietnam. I know we've needed you for the CIA. We need you again to serve.
But you said they knew he was low energy.
No. This DOJ. That's why DOJ went and got him.
Okay.
Because they figured, okay, this guy will come in. He's a Republican. He'll exonerate Trump.
He's a Republican, but he's not a Republican that favors Trump. He is not a supporter of Trump.
I don't distinguish Republicans that favor Trump and not, because I know a lot of Republicans are running to different corners right now and declaring themselves different things. But listen, Republican, no different than everybody's painting every Democrat as a progressive, liberal, left-wing socialist. That's just what's happening. That's just a dynamic. But I don't look at it as this. I thought the idea was this would be a guy. He's conservative. He won't push the envelope beyond, the least little bit. He's not going to damage the Republican brand too much. He's a safe pick to do the investigation. But the investigation itself, and I can't pick apart it from. I'm going to pick at the investigation from a partnership angle. I will question it from a legal angle of the strength of what it did or did not do. Those were my concerns. I just didn't think it was a strong enough investigation. There were huge things that, I thought were left untouched within it, but that's the DOJ's deal. This investigation, it could have not have been done, and you would still have to require a congressional investigation, and that's what this is underway now. But before you do that, I think it would just be bad practice if you didn't put this on the record.
Right.
The politics, and that's really what they were just. I thought the bigger thing here was draw the line out. So that down the road, somebody can't say, hey, but we got this DOJ investigation over you never got in, you never brought in what Mueller looked at and didn't do. This just becomes a basic, almost a starting point almost for the congressional investigation.
Right.
And that's how I look.
But you don't think that now they're at a deficit now that because they did this investigation, you're right. It was part of the process. They needed to do this before they moved with congressional oversight, right? But this investigation has now been shot. There's some big holes. There's some accountability for this 480-page report.
And I think the DOJ owns that. Not the Democrats. Because the Democrats had nothing to... The DOJ owns this.
The Democrats were so let down. I mean, I guess you may have a little lapse of memory, but when it was coming and I was on the show, I remember saying, man, you guys, I'm going to get them there. Oh, man, the Southern District. Oh, we need to wait till Mueller's done because Mueller's so good. He's going to pick them apart.
No. You never, but I'm just saying that may have been a perspective. But anyone who really looked at the structure of this would understand the Congress could never take Mueller's report and just adopt it and then they've got to do their own investigation.
We get that.
And so this now,
I get that.
Once that lands, you close that book. Okay. It gives you your roadmap for what you need to investigate so that Congress can make a determination if it now needs to also file articles of impeachment.
Okay, I'm glad. So now we're shifting to this other talking point, right? Because we're talking about impeachment, right?
We can move to that, yes.
All right, because we beat that down, and what I'm seeing is I watched the after Mueller conference for the Democrats. First of all, I watched the victory lap of the Republicans. Go Boys, go Warriors, go. You guys did your thing.
I thought
you guys
they could have done a better job, but I didn't think they didn't do a good enough job of that.
The Democrats?
The Republicans. They really could have ramped that up. They really could have had I didn't see Giuliani and Kellyanne Conway.
No need to beat on the guy. The guy was beat down from the him.
It's the idea of the dynamic of it is if this was the moment to squash this whole thing, I thought they stumbled out the gate on that from a celebratory standpoint and making it look like you're just going. It's kind of like when Donald Trump kept going over and over, Esteban, the birther thing. And everybody would do. That's been we've proven that's not a valid thing to chase. But Donald Trump wouldn't let it die. He kept, and every time, so it became to a point where anyone who brought that up, you look like some conspiratorialist.
So that's the issue that I have with the Democrat Party. So I'm talking about your Adam Schiff, your Nadler, your Pelosi's, who use the mainstream media to float these. We got him now, or we got all this information on him. But your heyday to do that was during the Mueller hearing. Hey, Robert Mueller, tell us about this because we know it's already happened.
That's different because you're confusing two things. There are things in that report that
the 10 instances, probably, right?
Right.
Okay.
There are tons of things in that report that. You're right. You could have used to try to grandstand, so to speak. But I think the Democrats had to make a choice. Do we butcher Mueller in the process, or do we just let him put his testimony on the record and leave it? That's what I think the choice was.
Okay.
They chose. You know what? We're not gonna. He served. He did his thing because this is really not. This is just one of the steps along the process. What should be interesting is the number of Democrats in favor of impeachment went up, and in the public, the people looking for impeachment has moved. It's still above where it was when Nixon's investigation started.
Well, what the stats that I saw were Democrat voters primarily are in favor of it.
Yes, yeah, right. Exactly.
But the polls show that it actually ticked down. There were 38%. 37% before the hearing, and it went to 38% for. I don't know what this poll did, but pretty much the litmus test says, well, it's not really looking that good. The public is not really going to carry that momentum for you.
You had 14% of the public, 14 or 17%, in favor of impeaching Nixon when Congress started its investigation. You're at 38. And the Democrats haven't really announced, okay, we've opened an impeachment inquiry. Now, they've got an impeachment investigation, but the inquiry is a formal process, and they've got to drop some documents and all that stuff. But let me slide to another component of this is, I don't really think they want to impeach him.
Well, they just lost one impeachment effort on just a BS tip. I mean, they just week before last, they just... who's that? Al somebody, whatever this representative name, submitted this resolution for impeachment, and it failed. So now you think... Yeah,
but that was different. That was based on the racial comments he made against the 4 Congress.
But it may have been different in content, what it was about, but it was an impeachment effort.
I commend the Democrats' integrity for not just jumping up saying impeach him on anything. They're not just looking to impeach him on anything. They're focused on impeach and holding him accountable for the things that he did that have really damaged this country, if that's proven out to be what the facts support. And they're still gathering facts. The one will be, and I think is it Don McGahn they want to bring in? They want to bring in Corey Lewandowski to determine, was this guy making phone calls trying to shut down the investigation? That will be obstruction. That's in the report. They need their own conclusion. Now, Trump has said, hey, we're exercising some executive privileges
that he didn't do during the investigation, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, in certain areas, but now, but because that was his DOJ. See, this is Congress.
Right.
I don't understand it. They can talk to his DOJ, but they can't talk to Congress. That doesn't make sense to me. And I don't understand if it's okay for them to talk to. That's why, because he knew in the end that report wasn't going anywhere. That report couldn't. His DOJ was not going to carry, particularly with Barr now in place. Wasn't going to go anywhere.
But you don't think. Do you really not think that the IG report, Michael Horch, you don't think, Inspector General's report, you don't think that that's going to blow yet another hole in the side of this case? Because what they're looking at is what the hearings brought about. What Mueller didn't want to answer because he said it beforehand. Look, I'm not touching that whole how we got started here. I'm only going to talk about what we did.
Because his mandate didn't include that.
Right. But we know, and here's where the
remember now, when he comes in, the investigation had already started. It moved over to him when it was realized that Jeff Sessions and folks within the.
Man, we are just getting too much into it.
We all right. So I think have you come around the track? You done?
Yeah, I'm done
all
with
right,
that.
good enough. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna get back and take a quick break, pay some bills, come back. Listen, a lot of stuff out there. Biden says the gloves are coming off. Hey, why won't the Republicans do something about these election attacks by Russia and all the other things important in our national politics? But we'll be right back.
My name is Gil Sampson. I didn't come from a very rich family, and so paying for college would have been very tough. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the college that I went to, and then I don't know if I would have gotten into the career that I am in. So I think Bright Futures has done a lot to shape my life. I got a job as a structural engineer, and I design residential buildings, commercial buildings all over the United States. Because of Bright Futures, I was able to go to college. You know, so many kids just don't even ever get that opportunity, and to be able to do it and not have any debt when I graduated is amazing, and it was all thanks to Bright Futures.
Florida has created more than 1 million jobs in only 5 years, and a great education connects our students to these exciting opportunities. That's why the Florida Lottery has funded Bright Futures scholarships to help over 725,000 students attend college. Because every play is for education. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
In Touch Radio is smooth soul.
Rocking your radio on the sounds of soul.
Playing your favorite R&B. In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Miss K with K's Kitchen, where we're cooking Chicago-style fried chicken and fish with the authentic Chicago-style mouth sauce. Come check us out at our new restaurant located at 3320 East Osborne Avenue in the Jackson Heights area. We have a brand new menu which includes whole wings, catfish, pizza puffs, and much more. Call us at 813-368-5196. Again, that number is 813-368-5196. See you soon.
All right, we're back on Vintage News Radio, reality radio, where everybody's a star. You know, you may tune in to us on Saturday morning and think, wow, that is a great show that comes on at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. But let me tell you something. InTouch News is multimedia. We've got Facebook going at InTouch News Facebook. Go there, look at us live. There are podcasts on the Facebook page you can plug into. You can also listen to music all day long. Some of the best, grown folks music and jazz and just a wonderful sound. And also a great lineup of various radio show hosts that cover all kinds of topics, from religion to economics to personal development and health. Just a lot of things that build and support giving information to people that can fill out their lives. So we encourage you to become part of the InTouch News family by logging on, listening in, and participating in all that we do here on the station. But so we're back, and let's move into our talk about some other stuff, because there's so much happening this week, and I was surprised to see that Congress looked like it was trying to chew gum and walk at the same time.
Yeah, man, that's what we do.
But let me so that investigation it starts out as the Russian election investigation,
Right.
which is a real thing.
Right.
It's certain, it's absolute, it's real, and I want to say there was testimony last week in Congress that all 50 states were targeted. Now, most people may think that our election system is uniform. It's not. Every state has its own election system per se, its own programming, its own methodology, its own all those things. And the beauty of that is to give it an independence and security just by its variations.
And it's not necessarily connected to the main backbone of the internet. So
exactly. So if you break into the Georgia election system, that doesn't get you into Alabama's system or Arkansas. You've got to, and the programming, the computers, the machines, very, 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 very different. But something happened last week, Professor, and I want to get your input because I'm just wondering where the Republicans are on this. Democrats passed legislation to make it criminal for somebody to allow a foreign entity to engage and support their election and to provide other election security measures. And Mitch McConnell came out and said he won't bring it up for a vote over in the Senate. And I'm not sure exactly what the basis was. I would love to have seen some counter legislation.
Me too.
But what's the position that Republicans you think are taking on why they won't touch that?
I was disappointed because I couldn't find any legislation. I couldn't find anything that they were offering or some reason that they thought the Democrats, other than they were saying that it's for partisan purposes, why they wanted to do it.
Right.
I don't buy that, and that bothers me. But I also am confident because of things that I have come across. First of all, I wouldn't assume that being an IT person, that is my main trade. I wouldn't assume that our government does not have an infrastructure in place to combat this. Even though the past administration knew of this, and it's just ironic. It's not even ironic. It's just hilarious that now Democrats want to pass some legislation so that you're making it criminal that you shouldn't accept any influence from a foreign government. But you shouldn't have to pass that. As a matter of fact, again, I'm not going to dwell on
Wait a minute. Whoa,
you shouldn't have to pass that. That should be a given, especially if you were
Wait,
in Congress from the past
wait,
administration.
We just had an interview with Trump not long ago where they asked him that question, and
What's
he
that?
said he would listen.
But to what?
If somebody foreign came to him with information on his opponent, would you send him to the FBI? And his friend, I will listen.
We know Trump does a lot of that for the shock factor. That's what he does, and sometimes he may not even know. But I think a lot of times he does that just to get a rise. Because if you keep talking about him, you keep saying, just keep him in the news. Now, but let's talk about what they are doing. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence. They have elicited a number of cyber operations in all 50 states. And this is under this administration. The Department of Homeland Security is working with local governments and private sector to strengthen in each of the states to strengthen their individual systems. I just wouldn't assume, and I don't care that I don't know as a citizen, because I just wouldn't assume that they're not doing anything. But like Trump used to say, well, why would I publicize that, given the fact that we know that Russian is meddling. We know that historically the U.S. has done it. We also know that China has done it. And one of the things that I get on a weekly basis, I don't know why I still get it, are internet stats. This stat has never changed. It hadn't changed since I've been teaching, and I've been teaching 13 years. China, we know, has 18.7% of the world's population, has more internet users. The day that Trump was over in Moscow when he was first elected, wherever he was talking with Putin, China had the biggest footprint as far as cybersecurity. But we like to focus because that's what the Democrats want us to do. It's only Russia that's doing this because Russia helped Trump get in office. So it's only Russia we need to be worried about. Because if it was about actual infiltrating our electoral system, then we'd have a bigger conversation, because I can give you a website and you can run it on a weekly basis. You can see how many countries actually try to infiltrate our infrastructure. And it's not just Russia, and it's not just China. But we don't have those conversations because it's politically motivated. It's all about Russia, and they need to tie it into the collusion and the conspiracy. They're not going to let it die. So maybe that's one reason why Mitch McConnell didn't move on it. But I don't like that they didn't offer anything.
I thought the reason he didn't was because if there is, and Trump is kind of taking this position that he is not going to acknowledge any Russian efforts to interfere in our election because it may weaken his legitimacy. And people allege, they influenced the election and you didn't win fair and square.
Well, that's what's got him riled now.
Right, I think so. I think Mitch McConnell, understanding how juvenile he can be, knows that if they were to do something along the lines jointly with the Democrats passing legislation, he's going to get backlash from Trump. And I tell you now, I don't know any Republican that looks like they're willing to take Trump on. Mitch McConnell definitely is not. And so from that perspective, I mean, look at what they did with the budget. And we'll get to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. I don't know of any Republican right now who's willing to stand up to Trump. The party has been completely ceded over to him. And
well, isn't that what it's supposed to be? I mean, you guys were united behind Obama. I don't remember any dissenters with Obama.
Absolutely.
So I mean, they should be, right?
That's really why the Obamacare had a number of various elements in it. and that's because they demanded various Democrats demanded, you want me to vote for that? Well, these are some of the components that we're gonna put into.
Wait. But I thought, if maybe my memory is bad, I thought that was solely pushed through by you guys.
It was. No, we had both House and the Senate.
Exactly.
But
so
we
extracted.
they extracted. They were like, listen, if you want you want to pass legislation, there were immense demands placed on what had to be in it. That's what made it, I think, hard for some Americans to swallow. You know, they were like, well, this is not what I really bargained for. But he was like, look, if we don't pass this, if we don't give these various, and that was one of the things I think Trump does a better job of. He runs heavy-handed over all Democrats. If you don't follow him, he will primary you. That's his position. Yeah, Republicans. And Obama didn't play that kind of hardball. Trump does play that kind of hardball. He has scared the bejeebus out of any Republican that dares not go along almost fully. You're not going to get reelected. That's
here's the thing. Okay. Hey, granted, you know why I'm not upset about that? You know why that doesn't bother me?
You're Trump guy. What do you mean? Of course you're not.
Well, but here's the thing. That doesn't bother me because when the Republicans had all three houses, they didn't do crap they needed to do. So now, and many of those people preceded Trump, most of them, except the House, because of how they get elected, preceded Trump for a number of years. My issue with that is don't lump all this fiscal spending on Trump. Now, we know what he's doing, but I know that he's prioritizing border security.
So you mentioned fiscal spending. Okay. Let's talk about the budget for just a quick minute. And then I want to get to those Fox News polls. Okay. I was just so excited about those. But anyway, on the budget. So we get this new budget, and I know it hasn't been signed yet, correct?
Right.
It just passed the House.
And then they went on break. It's like, ring the doorbell, leave on the front porch, and I'm out. I'll be back next week. I'm on break.
So we have this new budget, what, 1.337 trillion, up from 1.32. Increased spending on the domestic side at the request of the Democrats.
Okay, right.
And an astronomical increase in spending on the military side, requested by Trump
and that's
to support his business buddies who are suppliers to the military.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he wants to make sure those guys are making tons of money.
Okay.
You know, that military-industrial complex, you got to keep that alive and well. Just as you have to do the poverty-industrial complex, the people that live and support that system and make money off of it, they have their lobbyists too. I mean, just, you know, but we anyway. So, but I was just stunned. I get the Democrats, and I understand some of the domestic spending.
Of course, you're going to understand that because you're a Democrat.
Because that goes to that actually fits into Trump's slogan of America First. I always worry about us feeding the world when we have people here who are hungry. I worry about students in America going to college when we're passing money out around the world. So I'm in favor of a domestic budget that's strong on helping promote and grow America.
But me just say that. Wait a minute. So when you say America First, and you guys are doing, and I'm going to call it some entitlement spending, when you guys say America First, it's okay. But when Trump says America First, he's a white nationalist, racist.
Tell you why. I say America First to Americans. He says America First. He goes out on top of a hill over in Canada and yells, you know, you guys got to close this plant. It's about America. We're taking those jobs over to America. It's just a way that you present stuff where it's against you and for me. But I'm just saying that. So I'm in favor. We have a lot of domestic issues, I think, that could undercut the core fabric of America. We have a housing crisis in America. If you go back to the 1920s and 30s, this happened before. And out of that came a very, very strong structures to drive private home ownership. We've lost that focus, and now we have a huge number of people that are the working homeless that can't afford, you know, live. You know, it's amazing when I go by some hotels and I wonder, you know, wow, who's traveling to Miami stopped at that hotel? Then I realized nobody. Those people live there.
They've always had weekly hotels. I mean, don't put that on Trump.
No, I'm just saying that the idea, though, that people that actually that's their permanent housing, living, plants on the porch, plants around the door. But we in you know some big cities where there have been people that have just been left out. You know, they're out on the streets, San Francisco, Chicago.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned those two. And guess who they're run by?
Los Angeles.
Okay, but who's that state run by? Who's the governor? I mean, it's a blue state. Exactly. They have all this, and guess what? At least not Chicago, but California.
And you know why they don't
bring all the immigrants here. Come on, we're going to blow this budget up.
Those are people who left less passionate states looking to go someplace where they could get the support they needed. That's why those people in those states, we get them in Florida as well, that come from Georgia. Why? Because Georgia says, get out of here, we don't care about you. Florida, we try to think about you and do the best we can. So you have a congregation of people in need going to places where they think they can get some help. And just like you out there listening, you can get help here too. I love you listening in and participating. Esteban is giving me the hand signal break, right on cue saying break it. Let's go to our next break. When we come back, we'll talk about these
taking off these gloves,
man.
too. Yeah, let's talk about those clothes. And I can tell you why.
Biden said the gloves coming off. And I hope Carl is listening. Because by the time, Joe come out the corner. We'll be back in just a minute.
Also known as Dr. V, the head of school at the Walters Academy for Entrepreneurship, a place that we like to call The Way, where we're educating today's youthpreneurs to be tomorrow's billionaires through social entrepreneurship. Do you have a student who's bored, frustrated, gifted, inquisitive, creative, business-minded? Then maybe you need to check The Way out. Listen, we have an educational platform that allows for individualized instruction. It's strength-based, project-based, and designed to help your student become the absolute best they can while starting their own business and being an entrepreneur. If you're looking for something different and you need to find a more excellent way, then you need to visit us at The Way. That's The Way, www.thewaetampa.org. Or you can call us at 813-603-7923. We look forward to showing your students a more excellent way at The Way.
Hi, this is Dale Day. Join me every Monday at 7 p.m. for Jazz in His Comic-Con, bringing you the smoothest jazz and the coolest hits, right here on In Touch Radio.
Okay, we're back. In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone's a star. Here's the call-in number, 813-444-9588. Now it's the time. We're going to take some gloves off. We're going to get down like Joe Biden now. But first, let's talk about the polls, and then we'll roll in, because the polls show that Biden is up. And Biden he's always had a lead over his Democrat rivals. We know that, or candidates.
Right.
But we know he slipped down in the polls. So the reason why initially I was kind of like, well, what's going on? At least Fox has him down. But there are two things. So first, the more academic side. When we talk about polls, no matter what it is, when you're doing research, there are two things that you have to be concerned with. One is validity. So is it valid? Did the question in the poll ask, and did it elicit what it was supposed to ask? Two, is it reliable? If I ask that person the same question, will I get the same answer? If I ask that person the question the next day, will I get the same answer? So those are the first two things when I think about polls. And given what happened with the polls in 2016, if you're still believing in polls, then okay, let me holler at you when I get outside. I got something I need to sell you. The other thing is Fox is not what Fox used to be. So, of course, they're probably using, because they have different personnel, they have different ownership, and they have different anchors in there. The only ones that are still left over from the old guard is Sean Hannity, and it might just be Sean Hannity. I'm trying to think who else may be left from the old guard. And Sean Hannity's even thinking about leaving. So now you have all these more liberal
where would Sean Hannity go, you think?
He'd probably go...
some streaming source? Or
yeah, exactly. Since, you're a bit uncensored to a certain degree. And you lose that prime time, and you lose that public face. But, you're still out there. He's going to lose some of his viewership if he goes to Blaze Radio, wherever they go. But it is what it is. But Fox is not the same, so I'm not surprised that now he's even down in Fox polls now.
But I would assume that they're buying that poll from somebody. That they're not their own pollster. They've got a company that they reach out to.
Somebody said it. Okay. Hey, In Touch Radio caller, who do we have?
Hello?
Hey, Carl.
Good morning, Carl. How you guys doing?
We're doing well.
How you doing this morning?
I heard y'all mentioning my front runner, Joe Biden.
Sleepy Joe? I mean Joe Biden. I'm sorry, Joe Biden.
My take on this, I just hope that he don't let Cory Booker pull him in the gutter and start bringing up, because like all the candidates have their baggage. And with Joe Biden or whatever, he got a little more baggage than they do. So if they start throwing punches or whatever, he's gonna lose points. And I just hope he don't get into that.
But he said Joe Biden's known as a gentleman, and he said he's gonna take off the gloves. As a Biden supporter, what does that mean to you when you hear Joe Biden say he's gonna take off the gloves?
Well, he's gonna start naming stuff about Cory Booker's his reputation in the Congress. It's gonna be scandalous, and that's what And I just hope that him being older, more seasoned and mature, he should let that happen. And that's what.
Let me ask you this though, because I feel like there's a setup in place. That the rumor is Cory Booker is gonna come after Joe Biden on various racial angles about some of the votes, the crime bill, the busing things that'll come back up, and maybe the Iraq war vote were the three things I heard Cory talking about. But is Cory a significant enough challenger that Biden needs even really work? Can he just swat him away if he's set up with one or two comments to just, because Cory Booker is like really, really low in the polls. I see him. He may be an appointment. He's not a serious candidate anymore, I don't think.
Well, I think he strategic. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carl. Answer that.
Well, and you don't want Cory Booker to use Joe Biden as a stepping stone either, to pull his rating up, but, get some points in. That's politics is really nasty or whatever, and I think the Cory Booker, he's going to go into that.
Donald Trump showed us in the last election that, if you go after people, other people will tend to take a lesser stance about attacking you. And I think that may be the concern. But, Professor, you had a comment or you wanted to make.
I think strategically it'd be better for him to go at Cory Booker than to go at Kamala Harris, because he's come across as being heavy-handed, male going against a female, going against a black woman. So he wants to stay away from
like take his hands and put it on his shoulders. That kind of go after.
Well, we know we know that's not good. Although I think I saw, I don't know why this bothered me, but I did see a clip that they were showing, and it was that, I don't know where he was, but he kissed his granddaughter in the mouth. Did you see that?
No.
And the reason why that bothers me, and there were a number of white, black, Hispanic, it didn't even matter. More people said, my grandfather never kissed me in the mouth. But if you were a kid, there's a certain age. See, when you were a toddler.
Hold on. I went home. I went to visit a friend of mine from college, and I'm telling you, when he got out the car, his daddy kissed him in the mouth. He was like 17, 18.
Okay, like, see, I would have, I'd be like, hey. but my thing is, Joe has a reputation, and that, while that may not stain him anymore, he hasn't gotten out and to deal with Donald Trump, so he hasn't gotten a hit. He's not the nominee. So we know it hadn't really got that ugly. But I think he'd rather throw some punches to, try to get his legs on there, if you will, with Cory Booker than try to do that with Kamala, because I think Kamala, one, would come back. Right. I think her fight game was a little better than Cory anyway.
Maybe she may be in she's better position. But, Carl, before we let you go, give me your prediction for tell me what we will be surprised to learn in the upcoming debate. What you think might be a surprise that we might not have anticipated coming out of this next debate?
I would say that Kamala Harris may exceed Joe Biden.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and she may take over Elizabeth Warren. I don't know. I mean, but she's scratching and clawing with him. Yeah, she's making a presence. She's making a presence.
Yeah, but I think
Joe
if
Biden, right.
I think if she comes
Joe
into
Biden just can't get into. He just can't get in the weeds with Cory Booker. He needs to stay his course or whatever, and stick with the policy. Cory Booker needs Joe Biden for a stepping stone to make his presence. So I mean, but Kamala Harris, she's in the wing waiting.
All right, Carl. We appreciate you calling in as always. Hey, blow your truck on for us, man.